we go, right off the face-off, Pellick goes after a Pirate, and here we go, a full brawl. Pellick went after Martinuk, and we've got a full brawl, 5-on-4.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm Cam, and this is Cam's Corner. We've got a very special show for you today as we'll look back on the 8-year anniversary when chaos broke out at the DCU Center. We'll hear from former Worcester Sharks forward Jimmy Bonneau, as well as current Railers GM and head coach David Cunniff, to get their thoughts on the game, which featured 143 penalty minutes, as well as 15 fighting majors, 10 of those coming in a span of 1 minute and 24 seconds. Before we get into that, I want to say thank you to all of you great fans, supporters, partners, and everyone else that supports the Worcester Railers. As I'm sure you all know, the news broke last Wednesday that the North Division of the ECHL, which includes the Railers, will not be participating in the 2020-21 ECHL season. We can't wait to get back on the ice for the 2021-22 season, and boy, October 2021 cannot come quick enough. But for you hockey enthusiasts out there, what do you say? Let's hear from Jimmy Bonneau and David Cunniff and get their thoughts on this 8-year anniversary. Well, like we said earlier, today marks the 8-year anniversary of the infamous game between the Worcester Sharks and the Portland Pirates, and no better guest to have on and join us all the way from out in the San Jose area, Jimmy Bonneau. And Jimmy, thanks for taking the time here to chat about that game, and obviously yourself known for being quite the enforcer. But let's look back on that day, November 24th, 2012, obviously a 5-1 win for the Sharks over the Pirates. But we love wins, but we also love fighting majors, and that game saw 15 of them. Let's just kind of start chronologically here, and you look back at that game, it was a pretty quiet first period, a 1-0 lead for Worcester, and only 4 penalties called, a coincidental minor, and then 2 other penalties as well. But boy, did stuff break loose in the opening minutes of that second period.
Yeah, I want to see, the thing that's crazy is there was so much build-up, too, with a few years leading up with Portland. The rivalries had really been heating up. There was somewhat of a brawl out there the end of the season prior to that, I think. And, yeah, it's just kind of been brewing up, and they, without saying they were looking for revenge, they were much more ready at that time if things were getting heated. And
I really think it was, the one hit. Johnny Mack, the captain of the team, is coming down the wing, takes a shot, and kind of gets finished after during his follow-through, and a very dangerous, very dangerous play with him flying down and going full speed into the boards. And I think that just kind of lit the match to kind of set things off. And when that happened, I really just think that guys felt offended and felt like, the leadership, Johnny Mack taking that hit, felt like they needed to answer.
Well, you personally, like we said, known for being an enforcer, but talking with Coach Cunniff as well as Eric Lindquist and Mike Myers, their emphasis was, you're not going to be the one that's stirring the pot and looking for things, but you're more of like the sheriff in town. So kind of walk us through maybe being the sheriff on the ice, especially during that second period.
Yeah, well, one thing that wasn't going to happen, I wasn't going to be left out of it, that's for sure. So, you don't want to miss the parade at some point. It'd be quite disappointing if I was to say that I wasn't part of a 15-fight game when I was playing in the rivalry game. I would just square it up with Reckless, which was pretty common. I mean, he was kind of more of an instigator, tough guy, very tough, very willing, like all the praise to him. Great guy too, but like I said, you play in rivalry, stuff happened, and him and I had a fight. And then I think just kind of moving forward from that, that's where line brawl happened with, I remember Senna and Mash definitely involved, big fights. Then it just kind of kept going, guys who didn't fight as much, getting tangled up. Then if I go to it, like, that's where I think too, like, after that, that's where in the third period, it started back over when the score went away, and Reckless went after Taylor Doherty and then got in Stalock's space, our goaltender at the time. And then that's when we lost our marbles. So I remember we trying to get at him from the bench, and it could have turned ugly there. And then after that, I didn't have a long leash. So as soon as I touched the ice, pretty much the rest were all over me. But Matt Pellich, I think, went and got some redemption, just kind of jumped someone too. I mean, kind of eye for eye. So.
Yeah, Jimmy, I've coached now just about 20 years in the American League and the East Coast League now for a year, and I really, I've seen it, growing up in the game with my father, my father coached with the Bruins and the Devils, and you're talking about tough hockey players like Jay Miller, Lyndon Baez, and Nevin Marquardt, Dave Maley. Guys like Peluso in New Jersey. And I really think that Jimmy Bonneau was one of I think he was a guy that probably, he was one of the best enforcers I've ever been around. He was the guy, like I say enforcer, but, physical hockey player. He was a guy that could play, but he was a guy that would calm a lot of the games down and not have to fight.
The Worcester Maine rivalry, obviously back in the day with the Sharks and the Pirates, and it still continues today. With the Railers and the Mariners, but that was during the 2012-2013 season. You personally had 15 fighting majors that year, and actually the year before, the 2011-2012 season, you guys had 120 fighting majors as a team. You had 22 of them. That was the most, from what I believe, in Worcester hockey history. And looking back to those 120 fights in 2011-2012 in any league of hockey, now, as we sit here in 2020, this bizarre world that we're in, no other team has had more fighting majors than that. And I'm sure a ton of them were against the Pirates. Just kind of tell us and give us a little more of an inside look with that rivalry between the Worcester Sharks and the Portland Pirates, which obviously brewed for years.
Yeah, well, I think there's just this thing when you're going to play teams 12 times a year, like we did, or I believe you guys still do play multiple times in division. So that part is always funny. You're going to have some games where you think everything is going to go crazy and it doesn't. And you're going to have some games where you show up thinking it might be quiet and it's not at all. But with Portland, they tend to there was just some type of spark that just tend to happen almost every game. It could be the smallest thing. It could be, and we had some guys who were excellent at stirring the pot too. Like if we get a name like Kurt Gogol, could get under anybody's skin. And we had a lot of willing guys. So yeah, it made for fun team, consistent. And the games that we really remember, that's the thing. We fought a lot. We fought in consecutive games. We didn't have a lot of success on the ice though. And that's unfortunate. Looking back, it's funny. Not funny, but it's all fun. But the games that really are the staples of those years are the ones like the Portland game that at our style, at that highly kind of intimidating and physical game, we provided on the ice too. We went and got wins. It wasn't just a bunch of frustration, penalty guys chasing each other. It was, it was a stuff brewing. And when we played our good games, if the other teams were ready, we were going to answer. We weren't just going to fold, point up at the score. We were always ready.
During those years, we had, we had a certain identity of our team. Our identity was a physical team that would forecheck and force turnovers and play a pressure game. That we were stiff around our own net. So, with the group of guys we had to play a certain way, and I think the group of guys we had embraced their roles and embraced that identity, and would try and play as much as they can with it and use it to their advantage. Obviously, in a game like that, when things, if our guys felt like there was a cheap hit or something like that, then they would certainly stick up for their teammates. There were a group of guys that were really tight. We did Roy did a great job doing team bonding, different things like that, we had a really tight-knit group that would stick up for each other for sure.
And yeah, for everybody back in Worcester, there's a lot of familiar faces here still with the guys that back with the Sharks. And for me, as you said, it was really if you take the year out that where I kind of went to take a step back, went back to the ECHL where I started, and with Rapid City, it was really the continuation of my Worcester stint that like gave me a future with the Sharks, continuing the organization. So, and that comes from Worcester. Like I had my relationship with the coaching staff, which was obviously Cunny and Roy, who's here now, Eric, everybody involved. Maisie, like I just have the highest respect for everyone. I miss everyone there. Say everybody. I want to say hi to everyone, and hopefully it was good to share that memory with them again. But let's get back on the ice next fall for you guys. Can't wait to support you guys from afar.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for taking the time here this afternoon. I'm sure the fans will enjoy it, and hopefully you guys can get on the ice sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Cam. Appreciate that.
Well, for someone that didn't get to live the action in person exactly 8 years ago on November 24th, 2012, a big thanks to Jimmy Bonneau as well as David Cunniff for taking a trip with myself and all of you down memory lane. The holiday season is upon us. Thanksgiving this Thursday. I hope all of you have a splendid holiday. I hope to talk to you all very, very soon. Until then, so long.